Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the final word. And I'm just going to tell you this, right? This is the first time since the 27th of September that we've been here on a Monday talking about a victory. Let that just sink in for a moment. The 27th of September.
January the 10th.
Since we could come in on a Monday and do the final word.
With a win.
With a win. Let that just sink in.
More. Yeah. Scared me.
Terrifying?
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying.
And we've only done it, there's only been one other occasion we've done it either, and that was on a Tuesday. So, that is pretty terrifying, but Everton did get a win. They beat Hull City 3-2 in the FA Cup. And, yeah, 120 minutes. Thankfully, Townsend smashed one in to get us the win and get us out of there. Because otherwise, I couldn't have took penalties.
Last game, Kevin Friend refereed Everton this season. QPR. 2-2.
Not a shock.
Of course,
Not a shock, that was the last time.
Went to penalties, which we lost. So,
He's horrendous. But
he's awful,
as they always say, we were in the hat. And we've got Brentford their own, so we were in the hat.
Yeah.
And does anything else matter?
No, not really.
It does though, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course it does. But you're right, we won, and that was all that mattered. That really, at the end of the day, no use playing brilliantly and having this looking great and we get beat. So I'd rather us win and not look great than look great and lose, obviously. But it wasn't a pretty performance, and it wasn't without its, worrying moments either. And I think the issue we've got is that we're in January. Yeah. There seems to be nothing at the moment. It's weird. We've got decent players, but we all seem to be doing, bar a couple. Yeah. We all seem to be really struggling to get any real form and any real shape into the way we're playing. Barring Gray and Gordon, who have been the shining lights really the last few weeks.
Yeah, it was a strange game because there was genuine moments of good football in the game.
9 goals, Everton, at the weekend.
There was good moments of football. There was plenty of opportunities to score goals. There was some nice forward play, but like you just said there, we just look all over the place, especially at the back. I mean, obviously there was changes. Begovic came in. We retained the 5 at the back. Seamus moved into the right side of centre backs, which I thought he would. John Joe stayed right wing back. Mykolenko on the other side coming in. Gomes coming in, obviously, and Rondon obviously up front. And it wasn't a great start.
No.
The fact that we had the kick-off and yet after 30 seconds we were 1-0 behind is very much...
Not in the playbook, I don't think.
No, not for the... the manager would have sent them out there saying, lads, start well, don't give anything stupid away. These will be on top of you for the first 10, 15 minutes, the crowd. Settle the crowd down and then start playing football. We're different.
We like adversity.
We like being a little bit different. We moved the ball to the left back position, and suddenly, the ball's played into Gray. He's closed down very, very quickly. It wasn't actually a foul. It wasn't actually a foul. It was more that the lad fell over and there was 2 or 3 players around him, and it just looked like a foul, but it wasn't actually a foul. First chance for him to get a delivery in. It's a decent ball, and one of their players gets in between 3 of ours. And it's in the back of the net. And straight away, you're thinking, you're going to get your shock, aren't you, BBC? Because you basically have started the whole show talking about shock, this could be a shock, oh, he's in trouble, blah, blah, blah. And after 45 seconds, they've got the start they've wanted. And for us, that's like everything playing out in the first, all our, free kick, another set piece, getting beat to a team in the Championship, everything comes at you straight away, and just thinking it's going to be one of those days.
Weirdly, I didn't, even when we went behind. I just thought I said to watching with my dad and said, well, Everton, he was fuming. and he was livid, obviously. And I said, well, we'll score at least 3. So we're going to have to see whether the big question will be, can we stop them scoring 3? That was my thoughts at that moment, because I knew we'd caused them problems with Gray and Gordon. But it was a ridiculous start, because it is that, like you just said, going. I mean, I didn't listen to any of that nonsense beforehand. Literally put the mute button off when the referee was about to blow his whistle. But it is all of that stuff, and you're giving that encouragement to a team who were struggling themselves and had to make, they didn't even have their best side outside that, they had to make changes. You're giving them that encouragement, and it's the free kick again. I think it was the 9th set-piece goal we've conceded this season or something. And it's a ball in, it's a ball to, you should be able to deal with. Mykolenko kind of gets underneath it a little bit, but Rondon sees the lad run past him. I think Michael Keane's there as well. And it's like, they haven't really done it. The lads just made a run and got a clear header in, and it was a good header. Tyler Smith, wasn't it? It was back of the net, and you're 1-0 down, and it's like, you've just give them all the encouragement you need. They had a big lad up front, Eves, was it? The big kid up front, looked massive. Yeah. And you're thinking, and then they nearly make it 2-0, not long after a good save from Begovic. And it's that fact that there's no... I can't even say that it's because we're playing 5 at the back, that we're all over the place, because we've been all over the place with 4 when Mina's not there. There's no organisation at all. No, and defensively we look all over the place. It's not even errors, as in like individual errors. It's a collective, isn't it? It's a collective shape. It's a collective lack of being able to do the basics, which is get someone in front and do what they need to do to stop the ball. But you're right, we went 1-0 behind, and then for the first 20 minutes we were awful. We were getting run all over the pitch. Nothing was sticking. We couldn't keep 2-3 passes together. Midfield, we were getting outnumbered. They were getting lots of encouragement. Jermaine Genesee was on the thing. It was like, doesn't say many things that are right. Feel sorry for him, to be fair, because he just talks utter wham. But he was right in one of the things. Half of the team presses, the other half doesn't. Yeah. And it just leaves. So once you come out for a press, if no one else is following you, you're out the game, because they just got, and we were letting them pass it out from and it was like, what are we doing? Yeah. And then Gomes and Allen, they were getting caught this side of the ball. It was just, there was no one when you look at Everton, there's no one dictating where people even go, let alone when you've got the ball dictating the play. There's no one in there who organises on the pitch. The manager might be trying to do it on the line, but no one's doing it on the pitch. No. Because we've got 2 midfielders, we're playing with 2 midfielders there. Both want to go and get the ball. Gomes wants to be on the ball, and Allen goes hunting. But there was a big gap, and they were bringing us in field and playing in behind us. The way we pointed out last week what Brighton did, the way they sat 2 people behind our midfielders and 2 in front of them, so they were outnumbered. These were doing, Honeyman was coming in off the wing. The other kid, Lewis Porter, was coming in this side. There was just that opening 20. We just looked all over the place. And it's just, if you're looking at a team who haven't got the best team out and the 19th in the championship are able to cut through you do start thinking, what's going on here? Yeah. What are they doing in training? And also there's a desire factor as well. For the first 20 minutes, they looked hungrier. They looked like they were we feeling sorry for ourselves? We've got no right to feel sorry for ourselves, though. These players have got no right to feel sorry for themselves. They're all standing off. Like, someone's got to get them together and go, right, we'll stop doing that then. Yeah. Get men behind the ball, and then if you want to do it, break that way. But then, so there's too much of a gap between the 2 midfield and then the 3 ahead of them. So they can't get the ball to them. So, and again, it was illustrated where they're coming out with the ball at the back and no one presses on them, so they're just cutting through the front 3, and that means that our 2 midfield then have to go and engage. And if they go engage, and then there's gaps behind them, and it's dead easy to play between the lines, and there's intelligent teams are cutting us apart because of that. It's so easy. Where, said it a million times, we're going to have to start biting the bullet, and it's not biting the bullet, but to play 3 midfield. You just have to get the right 3.
and go with 4-3-3. Trust that your full-backs can get forward. It's just like that first 20 minutes was just, to me, was appalling, absolutely appalling, the way we played, and the way, the lack of energy and the lack of anyone sort of being alive to the situation, like you mentioned. Like, the managers might be on the the manager on the touchline, and he's trying to get across whatever he's trying to get across to them. But it does take that one player on the pitch, and we don't have that one player who recognises what's going on the pitch.
No,
and, you know, listen, Seamus Coleman, whatever, great leader and all that, but he's not, to me, he's not an astute footballing mind who can understand what's going on. You need someone in the middle of the park who can see what's going on, and we just don't have that player.
Or a centre-back.
And
we don't have that either.
Who's astute enough to be that leader on the pitch, that manager on the pitch, to understand, to say to players, right, just you come in or whatever, and we'll just sit us in and get this shape. We just looked all over the place, and it only really changed with Gray getting on the ball and a lovely little, you know, give and go with him and Gordon, and it's a lovely goal, and we're back in the game. And it was funny because the minute that went in, the minute everything calmed down.
That's what I'm saying about when I'm talking about feeling sorry for ourselves. I'm not saying they've got an excuse to do it, but I just mean with what's gone on, lost the last home game, all kinds of nonsense going on, you know, injuries and different things, and then you come out in the cup tie where people are saying, you know, banana skin and all that. You can see the goal with the first attack. You're 1-0 down. They've got the energy. We have to give Hull credit as well. They were working the socks off, as you'd expect.
Yeah.
Whatever you were, the crowd were up for it. We did just look a bit like, here we go again.
Yeah.
You can't be like that.
No.
You can't be like that. But you're right, the minute we scored, it was a lovely goal.
Yeah.
A brilliant goal. And it showed that class that those players have got at that time. It's a great ball back by Gordon. Gray knocks it in, it's 1-1. And then we took over. We simply took over. You know, and we could have ended up, Anthony Gordon probably should have scored not long after it.
No, he should have.
You know, done a lovely little chop. He had 2 men square, and I can't blame him for having a go himself, but he hits the outside.
No, I just thought he should have gone any other corner.
Yeah, he should have gone across, and he cut his angle down, didn't he? But we did, we were on it then, and, you know, we had another, I think, was it Damari Gray had another shot, which the keeper pushed wide, cut in, and we were getting on the ball and that then, and they were getting further and further back, but it's that, you know, better teams would have been 3-0 up in that opening 20
easily.
minutes. And that's what you've got to look at.
And that was the main frustration from the game. I mean, obviously, there was a bit, we were getting on the ball a bit more. Gomes was getting a lot more of the ball and looked really good in possession. Maybe less so out of possession. The game started settling down. You know, John Joe Kenny was starting to get up the pitch. Mykolenko was starting to settle into the game as well. And obviously, Gray started getting on the ball, and him and Gordon were just a threat all the time. They were terrified of the two of them. And we started just being a little bit more patient on the ball, taking a little bit more care of it. And the second goal showed that, you know, the ball gets moved across, and Gordon gets it, and Gordon could go with it himself or put it in himself, but it's a lovely overlap and run from John Joe Kenny. And he puts a great ball in the box. He just stands it up on the penalty box. And you've got, lovely to see, a centre midfielder moving. Because it's not on his head. He has to run onto it, and it's running onto it that gives him the power that beats the goalkeeper. And it's just lovely to see someone actually doing that for once. And it was a ball. It was a lovely. We very rarely put a ball like that in there. There was actually some thought went into the cross. So fair play to John Joe. Some thought went into it.
Second assist in a week.
Yeah, and that put us 2-1 up, and you're just thinking, like you just said there, you know, there'll be opportunities now. Just control the game, settle it down, and go on and finish this game off. And we got to half time. As you said, we stung the palm with the keeper a couple of times.
Should have had a penalty.
Well, we should have. I mean, we should have had. You know, if VAR's there, it's a penalty. But you know, we have one in the second half as well, which was a clear penalty as well. And
shouldn't have needed VAR.
Well, it shouldn't have. But this is where refs are becoming clearly getting lazier and lazier. The ones who play in the Premier League, is they're not trusting their own instincts. They're not trusting they're not using their linesmen or assistant referees anymore because they don't need them in the Premier League. And this is what's stupid about these rules, is that you're going away from the natural instincts.
Yeah, but those VAR other games.
No, I know there was.
That to me is that's the biggest. It's either in the competition or it's not.
Yeah.
It's you can't have it at one ground and it's not at the other. It's it's pathetic. But we were stung with this years ago when Millwall knocked us out, where it had been at other games and it wasn't at ours, and there was 2 offside goals and things like that. You know, and it's like, oh well, you know, it wasn't at that game, but it's at that game. It's that to me for a competition as big as the FA Cup is pathetic. Just on the goal, the Gomes goal, it actually come with the move was exactly the same. 20 seconds before it, we had an overlapping run by Kenny, good move, gets played in. He cuts the ball back to the edge of the box. Gomes wins it back, and then turns, recycles it, Gordon out, and then Gomes makes his runs watching it today. So he wins the ball back, knocks it square, comes out, and then goes back in as Kenny stands it up. It's a great run and great header. And you know, you 2-1 up and thinking, like you just said, put this to bed now. Yeah. You know, and because they did, it felt watching it, I don't know whether you felt the same, but it was like the day now for us to go 4-1 and just get it put it out of sight, and then everything can settle down.
That's what the frustration was second half. Is that the opportunities we completely controlled the ball for the first 20 minutes of that second half, and it felt like it was too easy. Gray had a couple of opportunities where, like, Gray was good, but at the same time, I think he should have had a hat-trick. And I think there was opportunities him and Gordon had, which we have to get better at that. Like, you have to put the game to bed.
Yeah, you've got it.
Chances where both of them, you know, Gray had a couple of chances and Gordon had one with a really bad touch, sent him wide. You have to just think about it, like, get to the third year and the game's done.
Clinical sides, just put that away.
You can make get a third year. Rafa Benitez can make a couple of changes, and these are not coming back for it. But we didn't, and we it just looked too easy at times. And then they make the subs because they have to react to it, and the subs change the game for them. And all they do is just get a little bit more on the ball. We've got 3 coming out with the ball. I think it's Alan loses a 50-50. Kenny, but Alan was next, I'm sorry, wasn't he?
Kenny intercepted it, done really well, and then lost the 50-50.
50-50. The lad wanted it more than he did. He plays it in. It's a side pass, and it's a great first time shot. Don't get me wrong, but it comes from nothing. It comes from absolutely nothing. Whereas we should be 3-4-1 up by that point, and suddenly it's 2-2, and you're thinking, well, God, they've just made the subs. They could go on now and win this game with, you know, because they've got the crowd behind them. Whereas the game should have been out of sight. And that's where people afterwards are just like, what are we doing? This game should be gone, finished.
That's on the players, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, like you said, Gordon should have done better. We had one with Rondon where it was cut back and he was trying to get a touch to turn and couldn't get anything away on it. And the minute they equalise, we break straight away, and Gray cuts in and bends. I thought it was in. He bends it, just shaves the post. But you think, got to hit the target. Yeah. You've done everything right. You've gone, you know, you're running. You've cut inside. You've left them for dead. Put it to bed. Puts it wide, and then you look and then think, well, if as the game goes on, if they get one, you know, you're scrambling around trying to grab an equaliser. And they nearly did get one. There was Porter, I think his name was, wasn't it? At the post with the shot, you know, the outside of the post. And we could, you know, that was with 8 minutes left, I think. Would have gone 3-2 down with, 10 injury time, 10, 11 minutes. Would we have scored?
But the worst thing about it was, every time we went forward, they were
all
over the place at the back. They looked all over the place, and it was a case of just get a couple of numbers in there, you know, so it's not just Gray. But for me, I thought a big moment in that second half was when we took Gordon off. I couldn't understand. And I'd say one of the reasons why was Gray had just been smashed as well. He'd been hit. And for the rest of the game, he looked like he was hobbling. He was all right on the sprint, but the rest of the time he was hobbling. And I couldn't understand why the manager made that decision, because they were terrifying on them at the back. So you had one on the left and one on the right, and when Townsend came on, it was like we'd settled for 2-1 and everything calmed down, and instead of having this dynamic player who was going to push them back, it felt very safe. And obviously Townsend's been out since, you know, is it the Palace game? Been out since it felt a very safe move, like we're going to calm this game down. And for me, it had the the effect went the other way. We suddenly only had one threat, and he looked like he was carrying a knock. Townsend is not going to run at you as such. He's going to hold the ball and try and get a bit more control. Where I thought, no, this was the time to go at them. They were rocking on their heels. I found that if that sub was going to come, I think it should have been 10 minutes later. And when you'd established what Gray's condition was and whether they were going to throw everything at us, I just thought it was a very safe move, a very Rafa Benitez move, when there was no real need for it. Though I thought at that stage, I looked at Gordon, there was nothing to say that Gordon needed to come off at that point. And you could look at it and go, well, maybe he wasn't having the best of games in the second half, whatever. But tactically, I thought it was a silly move because I just thought it allowed them to get up the pitch a little bit higher. It was one less danger for them to worry about.
Maybe, yeah. I think the Gray thing more, I think I'd have took Gray off rather than Gordon, because Gray was limping. But yeah, I mean, I was surprised he took, I mean, I personally had to took Rondon off and just put, don't know, anyone up front. Because Gordon is a threat. He didn't have a great game, don't get me wrong, but he's a lively, isn't he? He's a threat. But I think he put Townsend on because he knows Townsend's going to work hard for you. It was 20 minutes left, wasn't it? It was just before they equalised,
before they scored.
But I don't necessarily think it was anything to do with the Gordon sub. It's just that it probably was a little bit early. But, you know, we got to extra time and, you know, we come out and Townsend scores a goal, and after that, Begovic has had to make a worldie near the end, but other than that, I thought, again, we controlled extra time as well, but the control, for me, isn't, there's just something not right the way we play.
Do you think at 2-1, if we want to control, personally, I'd have probably took Kenny off, and or Seamus, but more likely Kenny, and put the core in centre midfield and just said, we're going to control this now. Maybe, and then maybe 10 minutes later, we take Gordon off or Gray off. And I think that's where we should have got control.
He's never going to... He is what he is, though, isn't he?
No, I know he is, but surely you've got...
Safe, isn't he?
But he had to... But then the minute they score, he brings the core on.
No, I know.
So it doesn't make sense to me that... Like, how many times this season have we sat there and gone, we need 3 midfield?
Well, they changed, didn't he? They changed. They brought 3 on. Yeah. And Tom Huddleston, you know that he's going to get hold of the ball. That should have been when we put the extra man in midfield. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, we go to 4 at the back, have the core in, but it's 2-2, where it's a 2-1. Gray on one side, Gordon on the other. And you just think, that's, to me, is the sub. Get hold of the midfield. Stop the midfield from getting control of the game. Because we, you know, the latter stages of the second half, we had very little control. But he didn't do that in...
No, I know, but
the Watford game,
isn't that up to
the Premier League game, we were 2-1 up at home to Watford, and it needed the third midfield player.
But surely if you're tactics and adapting to what the circumstances are, surely that's what he's got to start looking at and thinking, I need a third player in there just to grab this. See, if I'm going to see a game out of 2-1, to me, and you don't do that by changing the personnel, it's about changing the style. And I just thought they weren't doing anything, so let's go to 4 at the back, which we did anyway. Once they equalised, I get hold of the midfield, which is what we did anyway, the minute they equalised. It was just like, be proactive, not reactive. And that to me is the biggest problem with him, is that I've seen this enough times this season to see that that's what he does. He's reactive, he's not proactive. Whereas, because once he made the subs, I mean, don't get me wrong, I didn't think the core was very good. He was all over the gaff, to be honest, again. But and then Gabam come in. Once Gabam come on, we had full control of that midfield then. And that allowed the space probably for a Townsend. And they did not, I mean, they did have the opportunity, great save by Beck, but they didn't do anything.
No, other than that, there was nothing.
We had control, we were just knocking it around, and once we got the goal, great strike by Townsend. Keeper probably should be doing better, but it's a good strike, but the keeper should do better. Once we got that, you never sat there thinking, until like they got the corner, and you think, well, every time you get a set piece, you're terrified anyway. Just because it's Everton. We had control, and just thinking, why not just do that when we were 2-1 up? Get control. You've got Gray on one side, Gordon on the other. You'll get hold of the ball, and you'll get them in whenever you want. It's like
he doesn't do that, like you said. You know, think back to the Watford game. this season, 2-1 up in the game, was crying out for another midfield, and he left it, they equalised, and he go on and batter us. And it's those moments in the game where you're just thinking, is he so far gone himself that he can't?
Do you think it's strange for a defensive manager to leave us so wide open?
Yeah. I said at Zach's footy, so like a couple of the dads had read some, like loads of, like quite a few blues, but we were talking yesterday, and like we were all saying, thought the one thing he would do is, like, we might be boring, but we'd be tight. Like when we got him, I thought we're going to be one of them teams that doesn't score a lot of goals, but doesn't concede. Like, I guess a bit like Sean Dyche type. Yeah. That's what, in my mind, I was thinking tactically we'll be tight, we'll nick games 1-2-0. It'll be, you know, a lot of clean sheets. It'll be based on clean sheets. But fucking wide open. Yeah. We've just had Brighton and Hull in a week and conceded 5 goals, you know, and, you know, we're just all over the place. And I know you can. And you know that I'm not one to let the players off and blame it all on the manager, but something's going on.
What did he do in training?
I don't understand what they do, because I've said this before, our squad isn't very good, because I still think we've got like 1 to 14, we've got about 14 good players, and the others are so slow that when we're trying to do things in training, we must feel like we're Man City, because the people who are pressing them take about 3 weeks to get there to press you. Because obviously, whatever they're doing is not working in training, because they're conceding goals every week, set pieces. We're all over the place when teams break on us. And people just don't look comfortable on the ball, where they're all professional footballers in the Premier League, so they must be able to play football.
But also, we don't look at all comfortable when a set piece comes in. Like, you can see the fear on people's faces when a ball comes into the box. You know, and they've scored the first goal off a set piece. They nearly get a equaliser off a set.
Brilliant save.
Off a corner. It's a stunning save. But it's the fact that it's not
it's the second ball, though, isn't it?
The danger's not cleared, and it's a second ball, and it's. You watch, how many times you watch games of football and balls just get thrown into the box and they never come to anything. And our set pieces. And you watch us defensively, and it's like there's nobody dominating, there's nobody coming for it, there's nobody. It feels like there's danger all the time. And you think, well, what are you doing to help this? What are you doing to change this? And it's just, I don't get it.
I wonder what the players, if you ask them, what they prefer. Do you know what I mean? Because surely you do have that conversation as a manager. Surely he's not, I'm probably answering my own question, but surely he's not so pig-headed that you don't sit down with them and go, right, like, what's happening? Like, tell me why you can't get. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because every manager, like, leave Sunday League or anything you'd ever say, you'd say to, like, your defenders or whatever, like, are you happy? Like, why aren't you winning this, or why are you conceding this? Surely at professional football level, at Everton, they sit there and go, why aren't you comfortable?
Surely, I'm not saying, I know they will. They'll be having meetings, video analysm, and going through it, and people, they pay people good money to sit down and go through video after video and talk about zones and all the rest of it and analyse it to death, to know where the problems are, to know why. We can look at it sometimes and go, well, he should be doing that, and he should be picking that up, without knowing who's supposed to be there and who's supposed to be picking up. Yeah. But they will know, they'll have all that data, then they can beforehand and afterwards. So they can analyse all those and go, why aren't you there? Like last week, Michael Keane, surely you're supposed to be in this zone. Why are you moving into that zone to create space behind you? Like, they'll know all that data, and yet it's January and they haven't fixed it. It's bizarre. And yet the irony is, if Yerry Mina was available for the next game, you'd know probably 75% of the problems would be fixed, because he's dominant, because he can read the cross coming in and see where it's going to go, and he'll make sure he gets something on it. It's just bizarre that it keeps on happening, and doesn't matter what anyone says. That's the manager's fault, because he hasn't solved the problem. That's his job to solve it, whether it's come up with something new, put players in areas that they're comfortable, take players out of areas that they're not comfortable, change the way we do set pieces by having a player who stays up, so they have to, so there's two less players.
To be fair, he left Gray up the other day.
Because ultimately that's the other thing as well, if the box is absolutely jam-packed, because you're saying to the opposition, well, we're not going anywhere, then the opposition are going to go, put everyone in the box, we don't need to do nothing. Like, we actually nearly caught them with that, because there was the one where Dobbin got, and then it was, and then Rondon, which really was a foul. And again, Kevin Friend, how we never give that is beyond me. Rondon gets pulled down outside the box, it's a foul. It doesn't matter who it is, he pulls him down. It's a foul all day. And yet he goes, I didn't see it. You've got linesman, mate. It's a foul. I don't care what league you're playing, that's a foul. So it worked on that occasion just, but it can't go on like this, because every time the players, because they're so weak-minded, Michael Keane must think every time an opposition get a corner, away we go. Because you look at him, he's terrified. Because we haven't got anyone.
Massive.
We haven't got anyone dominant in there. We haven't got a leader in there, and it's just gonna, it's just gonna keep going, perpetuate.
It's got to be solved, because it's an Achilles heel all the time. So it doesn't matter how well you set your team up. Doesn't matter if you've got a good side. If you're starting every game behind, because you can see the corner or a free kick, and teams can get a goal up, you're not coming back in a lot of games. It's proven in the Premiers. It's 72% of the time teams who score the first goal win the game or something. So if we shoot ourselves in the foot most games. There's not many we took the lead in. Really, is there? You think about it, even games we've won. Even as recently as the last league game we won Arsenal.
No, we're behind most games. So you're going to lose if that's the case.
Exactly.
And then
so, and in some games with 2-0.
And it's the second goal. No, Crystal Palace, second goal. Brighton was the second goal. They're the killers. When you're 1-0 behind, trying to get back into it, and you just can see the free, the opposition just say, whack it into the corner and get us a corner.
Get a corner, because these are all over
Because these are all over the place. And then suddenly you find yourself 2-0 down. Brighton, Palace, recent examples.
We've got games like Burnley away that are crucial games, and they're bread and butter set pieces. You're looking and thinking, we're just going to cause our own problems. So you've got to get to the bottom of it, and whether that's buying another centre-back or abandoning what he's trying to do, whether it's part... I don't even know if it's all zonal now, because they're just all over the place. So...
It's a desire, isn't it? It's a desire to want
to
whatever
win the ball. System, I mean, there is that. Whatever system you play, you've got to want to... It doesn't matter if you're playing man-to-man. If you haven't got the desire to win the ball, you're still going to concede
But it
goals.
is those little things, though. Like saying to Gray, stay up.
Yeah.
Stay up. If we clear it, you're in, yeah.
You've got the pace,
But
they're terrified.
They've got to keep two men back.
One in front, one behind.
They've got to keep two men
someone's
back.
Got to screen him if he's there. So do it. And then so you're a man up then already in the box, aren't you? You've got a man advantage in the box. So, but you've got to go and attack the ball. Got to. That's it. That's what it's about, isn't it? It's attacking the ball. And until Liverpool had it, didn't he? Until he bought Van Dijk and Klopp, they were letting all sorts of goals, and he corrected it. And you can correct systems. We did it last year, but we had the two banks of 4 or 5, didn't we? But we also had Mina playing most games last year as well, which helped to that. Something Marco Silva struggled with, because Mina wasn't in it. And it's funny that people go on about Mina and he's this, he's that, but we've had our best moments really when he's been fit defensively.
No, of course we have. He's our best defender by a country mile. But he's a threat at both both ends, isn't he? Obviously, Mykolenko made his debut. Started at obviously left wing back, then went more into traditional left back. Difficult start for him, because it was, the speed of the game, you could see that straight away. But I thought, and he got a booking just before half time as well, which wasn't good for him. But I thought as the game went on, I thought he settled down, and I thought he was fine. Let's just have a look at his numbers. So touches 74, 4 tackles, 2 key passes, 1 successful cross and a 1. and 5 duels, 1 out of 11. But I thought for a debut, I thought in a difficult game, with a difficult start, I thought he settled down well, and I thought he showed some moments, encouraging moments, and you know, as I said, the pace of the game was always going to catch him out. It's always going to be a struggle for any player coming in, especially someone who hasn't played, I think, for 5 weeks, was it? But he is going to be our left back, so it's important he plays games because he's going to have to get himself through it because he is our left back going forward.
Yeah, I mean, on top of that, he created 2 chances. That's 7 ball recoveries as well in the game. I thought he did well. You know, I think he's playing not in a system that we generally use. I know we've used it the last few weeks, but it's not, unless that's what we're gonna do, and if we are, it's terrifying. But he grew into the game. I thought he looked comfortable on the ball, both feet. Made a couple, tried to get forward a few times. Michael Keane trying to hit Hollywood balls, which didn't give him a chance. But I thought he got forward when he needed to. He had a shot, which he should have done better with, skied over the bar, but was in there. And I thought overall he did well. It wasn't amazing, but he hadn't played for a while and different league, different, you know, new teammates and all that. It'll take him some time, but he was fine. You know, nothing to worry about there. He got in and competed. That's all you can do.
And the pace of the game's always going to catch a player out as he comes from abroad. It's always a difficult thing to adjust from straight away, especially when you've only played in one league. And it did catch him out. And they were predominantly in that first half coming down that side a lot of. So you've got to deal with that. You've got to deal with the adjusting to the position as well. You know. And once he settled down, I thought he was fine. I've seen a few silly comments about him, but no, it was encouraging. You know, as you said, he wasn't. You can't sit here going, he was a standout. He was amazing, but I thought as the game went on, he just grew into it, and that was promising. And you know, he played the entire game as well. So fair dues to him.
A lot of the. I mean, I thought he did really well, considering he was booked.
Yeah.
You know, and he only really had one moment where he conceded a free kick in injury in extra time. You're thinking, is this the referee's opportunity to send them off here? And he, you know, fair play to Kevin Friend, he didn't. But I thought he did okay, definitely. And people it'll become Luca Dean or him. That's what the thing will become. And you know, Luca Dean's obviously moving on, so there's no point looking at it like that. It's gonna take a bit of time, isn't it? But he's 22. You know, and he'll be fine. He'll get up to speed because he'll have to. The pace of the game's a young lad. He's played Champions League. He's played in the European Championships. He's got experience, and will have a desire and a hunger to do well. So I think he'll be fine for us, and I think he'll settle in. And like you said, he's our left back now, so we need to get behind him and just let him grow into it. And some people are always a little bit quick off the draw, aren't they? You know, if he's not unbelievable, then they're terrible. You know, and it's not how it works. It's not how it works. No. See top clubs keeping players back for a year before playing them, or 6-7 months before they get a go. So we have to blood ours. We
don't have that luxury. No. But he is going to play games. That's the point. He's going to make mistakes, but he is going to play games. And we've had issues previously with players who've come in who've not been allowed to settle and have not got up to the pace of the Premier League. You know, he's going to get games, and hopefully, you know, settles into the pace quicker. You know, than some off before him. Obviously, Damari Gray was our danger man. He was, you know, every time he had the ball, he just looked in complete control, didn't he? Let's have a little look at his numbers.
64 touches, 3 shots, 1 goal. Passing accuracy 81%. He had 2 key passes. He's the one who you get on the edge of your seat when he picks the ball up. He's the one you look and think something can happen here because he's dead quick feet. He's direct. I think he's brilliant. He really has been a revelation, hasn't he? 1.6 million. He's been incredible. 6 goals of the season, and he's the one you look to get you out of trouble or to win you the game. And you just think it's the one thing that gives me hope for the rest of the season is if we can get when Dom will be back this weekend, get Dom back in there and up firing, Richarlison fit and up firing. I think with him, Gray, Dom, Gordon, Townsend, we've got attacking, we've got goals there. And I think it's that thing as well. If you had, say, occasions where we do play 4-2-3-1, say at home, but you've got Richarlison, Gray, Gordon, and Dom. You know, you've got 4 players who can really frighten teams, I think. And Gray's just been fantastic. And he will get more, the better the players he was playing with, he'll get more space as well. Because if you're having to mark Dominic Calvert-Lewin or you're having to worry about Richarlison running off you, he's going to have.
Well, from this game, if there's a threat on both wings,
that's Gordon proofs.
You know, it opens it up, and the fact that as I said, you look at those players and will we ever get them all fitted at the same time? I don't know. But there's different kinds of players in there, isn't there? You've got like a Townsend player who you can rely on, who'll drop into the midfield, and then you've got out and out wingers or wide forwards in Gordon and Gray, and then Richarlison who can play in the number 10 sort of role as well. So we don't look too bad off, and as you say, Gray's been a revelation. It's just about getting the back line sorted. The back's just absolutely...
I honestly believe if we could get another midfield player who's mobile, and we could get the centre-back sorted, the back four sorted, we'd be sound. We'd be fine. It's the problem is that we've had no continuity in the defence at all this season. And in midfield, we all know as a fan base we can't have a midfield two of Allen and Decore or Allen and Gordon because Gomes, because a lot of teams play with 3, so they're a man down all the time. It's just difficult to sustain. It's a bit different if you do have Richarlison in the 10 and you have Gray and Gordon wide, or you have Townsend there, you can come and maybe help out in that midfield, or Richarlison, because one of them midfielders then tends to have to look after him. It's why in the early part of the season we were catching teams, because they were having to worry about this fella dropping into this number 10, whether it was Gray or Richie, they were having to worry about him. So we were able to compete and pick them off. Since Dom went out and we've had to change, then Richie went up front or whatever, it's that it hasn't really worked. And I think that if I'm going to give Benitez any criticism, real criticism, I mean, I can give him a lot, but if I was going to pin one thing on him and go, this is the reason why, it's because he has never changed what we do for him from when we had all of our best players of it. Well, most of our best players, I haven't had all of our them at once, but the early part of the season when we had Dom and Richie playing and Gray and Townsend and we were flying, or we were all right, we were getting results, he kept it no matter what, even though they'd gone out the side. And yet we know this squad that when you lose 2 players, the replacements are never the same. There's no like for like really, and I think that's a big thing. So I think if there is that day that we do get them back fit and they're playing together, I think we can have a strong second, which is probably why he thinks we can have a strong second half of the season. But we're still crying out for a centre-back and a midfield.
Oh, definitely. We're desperately in need of one. Let's just have a look at the match stats. I mean, the fact that 17 shots and they've had 8 on target is...
We've had 21. 2 big chances to Everton's 4. 52% possession, Hull. Which is mad, because at one stage we were comfortably ahead. But again, it's that thing of the midfielder, throw the extra midfielder on, get hold of the game, put it to bed. And he didn't. They brought their midfielder on who likes to be on the ball in Huddleston, and off you go. He was looking a bit like a Adama Traore. The muscle. I don't know whether
is it muscle?
I don't know whether it's muscles or it's other stuff. It's Greg's over, I don't know. Other bakers are available. Still a lovely passer at the ball, though, isn't he? But he did have the Adama Traore hair, I thought.
Fair play to him. Fair play. There you go. A win's a win, I suppose. I mean,
it is.
If we get a win on Saturday and we've got 3 points, and we'll be delighted. You know, so a win's a win. We're in the heart. We're playing Brentford at home tie. We all take that. There you go. Hopefully they've learned from it. and we move on. We move on. As I say, we get another win on Saturday. I'd be delighted. If I'm sitting here next week and I'm talking about another win on the final word, I will be delighted with that.
On a Monday.
On a Monday. There you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments on this one. Make sure you give the video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to watch, we're doing this video live, like we say every week. We're doing it live right now. It's on Patreon, and we'll be staying on Patreon a little bit longer to take questions. So if you want to get involved in that, the link is in the description. It'll be on the screen as well right now. Probably there, probably about there, down there, down there. Yeah, down there. I'm going to say down here. There you go. Thanks for watching. See you later.